One of my viewers requested that I make a follow-up video just talking about my condition post-surgery and how things I experienced went, how my family felt about things. Start from the trip home. The trip home was rough. I felt a lot of anxiety getting in the vehicle and traveling. My journey was 2.5 hours from the hospital to my actual home. So to prepare for that, they gave me pillows from the hospital. My family put a bunch of blankets inside the vehicle, and it really did help. Even the most minor bumps on my journeys in the vehicle felt like excruciating anxiety because I didn't know what was happening inside of me. And despite that, nothing ever did happen. I never developed any internal leakage, like from bile or from blood. No internal hernias. Nothing generated from travels. So that was a safe anxiety to relieve myself from. And you should as well. Don't be concerned that during a travel in a car that you're going to experience some kind of discomfort that you can't deal with. Slowing down, or even in my case, we took the fast lane on our highway system, which is a smoother transition. So you have less bumps on your journey. And in the first couple of weeks of travel, I really stressed that. And even post recovery, once I got home, I chose not to travel outside my home vehicle unless absolutely necessary for like possible appointments or anything like that, because the chances of an accident, like another vehicle collision, complications definitely arise from that. So be careful traveling, even on acceleration or in turns during travel. I could feel my abdominal wall collapse, like a rubber popping in and out. It was a very odd sensation and something it's hard to explain. But when you lose an organ the size of 70% of your liver, you do actually experience changes inside you, surprisingly. So one of those changes is a loss of mass, and your muscles actually collapse on top of that loss. So I'd say it took maybe a month before that muscle had regrown enough that it wasn't collapsing anymore during travels in the vehicle. About 2 months post-surgery, you should experience your abdominal reconstruction to such an extent that you don't feel like your muscles are weak anymore. You don't feel like your abdominal walls collapsing. But for many, many months after, you will feel your reconstruction of your muscle, your fascia muscles. So your fascia muscles, if I'm saying that correctly, are muscles that anchor all of your organs to each other and just keep everything generally in place around your skeleton. Well, upon your surgery, you're going to have incisions that cut through that. You're going to have instruments that moved it around, and they fill you with water. So you have a lot of change in that muscle mass. You don't necessarily feel that like you would a normal muscle, like a muscle cramp in your extremities or in your body, but internally, you'll feel a stress on your external muscles, which will feel kind of like having a seatbelt on you or having a belt along your belly. And even for me, I felt pain in my back where I could feel my reconstruction occurring. And even after 18 months, I could experience, a little discomfort, not a lot of discomfort, but I experienced this sensation pretty frequently around my incisions and around the general region of my gift, my donation. So expect some changes internally and you will feel it for quite some time, but it was never a detriment to my body. I'm quite strong and capable still to this day, and prior to surgery I was. Don't think that I'm explaining changes are going to occur and you'll never gain your strength back. That's not the case. You will feel fine after a while. You will feel strong again like I do. And don't be afraid of asking your doctors if what you're feeling is normal, because over my course of my recovery, I frequently contacted my team. Hey, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. Hey, I have a stitch that surfaced in my skin. I have what seems to be an abscess maybe on one of my incisions, and all these small things were critical to mention to my team, and often were a small problem that was solved by a quick snip of a stitch or an explanation that that's some surface healing and it would go away. And it did. Things of small nature did change, and even the overall development of my muscles, they changed. And my team allowed me time to understand that. They'd say, it depends on the person, which will become a phrase you'll become familiar with if you undergo a process like this. You'll have a lot of questions, and a lot of teams will just say the same thing. It depends. In time, it depends on your health, your choices, and what you do. So they can't have a firm answer for a lot of questions, but they do have a good guidance for you towards what you should see as a result. Like in my case, I said, hey, I'm feeling a bit tense in my abdominal region. They said, well, do some stretching. We don't have a lot of patients that tell us what happens, but if you can, be one of the patients that steps forward and does a daily routine and does a review on it. So I will share that with you guys later, how I've stretched my core, how I've made sure over my healing I didn't heal tight and constricted so that normal movement I wouldn't feel restricted. So an important part about recovery, because you are regrowing an organ, or even as the recipient of the liver donation, a few key things are noted in your recovery about eating things. So my doctor, real coyly, was like, you can have a burger every now and again, but don't get fries every time. Just jokes like that. But he was trying to be clear that when regrowing your liver, you want to restructure that muscle with healthy material. Your liver acts like a filter for your blood. It filters a lot of toxins out and it helps collect a lot of things inside of it. As a side effect of that, in this regrowth, if you don't eat correctly, you're likely to have a less healthy functioning liver. Your liver levels may not show up the same as a pre-donation person or someone like me who took good care of myself post surgery and made sure for at least a year I stayed away from fatty foods. And not like super crazy here. I had ice cream, I had cheese, I had everything you can imagine. Post surgery, they were feeding me salmon and potatoes right off the plate. So just take it into account what you're eating. Try to be healthy about what you take into your body. Understanding, like a pregnant woman, you're regrowing organs inside you, and you need to keep a healthy diet to do that healthily. So, talk about family a little bit, how the my gift and my grandmother's recovery or a donor's recovery can be stressful for your family, but at the same time, it can be stressful for you as the donor. So, post and prior to surgery, I'll talk about both. Before surgery, I approached everyone in my family and asked for their confidence. I'm like, will you support me in my gift? Are you confident in our gift and our choice together? Well, and a lot were absolutely, we are so happy to see you save grandma. We're so happy to see you do this amazing thing. And others were like my brother, my sister, my father, my mother, all of them stressed to me that they feared my passing. They feared the chance that they would lose me to this gift and that it would be a short-sighted gift for my grandmother due to her age and her condition. Despite those reflections and opinions from my family, I still proceeded with my gift and it was still an amazing experience. As you see, I recommend careful thought about it, but at the same time, I urge people not to be scared. It was worth it. It was genuinely worth it in the end. And your family and you are going to go through a lot of traveling to and from a hospital post and prior to surgery for checkups to get you ready for your donation and for checkups post donation. I think I went 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, and then a year post surgery for a routine checkup. But in between those, I want to say I went another 3 times. So I went back and forth a couple of times on my own for my own decision to check up on myself with my team. They did blood work, they did a CAT scan, they did an MRI. I had physical checkups, genuine things to make me feel more comfortable as the donor. Psychologically, as the donor, you're going to want to regain your mobility as quick as you can because you feel like me, like a lot of that was taken very quickly from you. You wake up the next morning and suddenly, oh my God, I can't lean over and tie my own shoes. I can't throw my laundry basket into the washer. But that's why you have to rely on a support system, or you have to do things in a different way, slower, easier. You have to treat yourself with care and your loved ones with care as well. You have to let them understand that you're not going to go out there and push yourself too hard, that you're not losing connection with people post donation. Like, it's very important that the small things that you fear are taken up with your team right away. Don't go to your family like, hey, I feel a bit off today. It's day 19 after my donation. Those are questions for your care team, and you should immediately reach out to them. That's what I did, and they were very quick to respond. So do that. When I was post surgery at home recovering, I often found dry mouth was like a great fear. That sounds really silly, but I didn't want to cough and I didn't want to have a struggle to breathe. And that sounds odd too, but due to the way that they operated on me, they had to open me up vertically as well. And in doing so, they used a chest spreader on me. They spread my ribs open. They moved my diaphragm a bit. So all these things coming back together meant that when I took breath, it was labor. And this labor felt like it stressed a lot of the decision to do that. I had an emergency operation, mid-operation, to stop some internal bleeding. That's something that is possible, but as seen here, they will not let you pass away. They keep you there, so don't worry about it. My doctor hadn't had a complication in over 10 years, and we couldn't even remember why the last complication had arose. So I am a very unique situation. I am able to speak to a complicated situation, which hopefully none of you will experience, but my complications mean I felt a more extreme version of what you're going to go through. And in doing so, I can lend a better lens on your situation, hopefully. So I needed to take frequent drinks, and I asked my spouse very frequently, hey, keep a drink around for me, keep bringing me stuff. That way I'm not feeling this anxiety whenever I have a situation where I can't easily breathe in. So burping was part of the surgery's recovery because you have a lot of air taken into you internally, but on top of that, labored breathing is an uneven breath. And in doing your uneven breathing, sometimes you swallow air unknowingly. You don't even realize you're doing it. And in doing that, you will eventually need to burp. So when I needed to burp, mostly because of my vertical incision, it was uncomfortable and I needed a drink to pass the gas. Both ways. Next part. Going to the bathroom, just take your time. That's what they tell you when you're having problems. That's what they tell you post-surgery. And that's what I can give you advice on. When you're using the bathroom, just take your time. Do not rush it. Just have a relaxing sit and you'll be fine.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and here's a small clip about liver donation around the world.
In Egypt, most people rely on live liver donation instead of deceased donation because it's still a developing topic in the country.